We are talking about reupholstering a chair. Chris Taylor joins us live this morning. What have you got for us?
I have got some chairs that most of us either find at garage sales or maybe we've got in our own home. And what we're going to be talking about today works great for ottomans or benches too.
Okay.
It's kind of recovering or reupholstering basics.
Okay.
I have a lot of people ask me, like Tegan and I were talking just a minute ago, about what do you do when, either you break the seat or you need to, freshen it up, because we've got a little kind of old relic right here. So one of the key things you want to take into consideration when you decide that you're going to redo a chair, first, of course, select your paint, which you can talk with your local home improvement store. There's a variety. You can use high-gloss spray paint. You can use latex and then put polyurethane on top. But the second most important choice is the fabric, because this is, by the time you do this, you really want it to last, because it takes a little bit of time. So you definitely want to stay away from 100% cottons.
Okay.
Usually those are going to be something that are going to wear out pretty quick. You want to look for an upholstery grade fabric.
All right.
So most fabric stores or your local big box, they have a section of home decor fabric.
A little bit thicker.
A little bit heavier weight. And we've got a couple of different examples here. This is kind of woven like a burlap, but it's a lot softer. So this can be really nice to use. Or you can go into, the tapestries. Just make sure you're putting the right side on your fabric, because if you flip it, by the time you get it over, you're going to be sorely disappointed.
Yes, and something that you can clean rather easily too, just in case you spill on it.
It's always nice, and you can find Scotch guarding products too, where you can just spray on, and that really helps to repel stains, if you've got kids or anything like that, or messy friends.
Yes.
So once you peel back the layer that you've got here, or if it's in a pretty good shape, you can always just go over the top. Sometimes it's not worth pulling off. You want to figure out how much padding do you need. I chose to do on mine just a light loft batting. It's really thin. We're going to put this in between our fabric and the seat here later on today. But for some people who need a little extra cushion, or maybe it's broken down too much, we have really nice high density foam. So this is something that you want to go for the green foam if it's going to be kitchen chairs or a chair in the living room or something you use every day, because if you go with the white foam that looks like this, it's not meant for everyday use, so you end up wearing a nice little spot where it'll be your chair, because you're the only one who's going to be comfortable in it.
So there's green and white foam. There's a difference in the type of foam that they are.
Yeah, the green is the high density, so it's got more weight and it's got more give, so it's going to bounce back a little bit better.
Okay, very neat. So we're going to reupholster, not this chair, you have another one that we're going to do here coming up a little bit later on in the show.
Yeah, so if you're ready
if you're looking to reupholster your chairs, if you have some old chairs, some dining room chairs that you're interested in, you really like how they look, but they need a little upgrade, Chris Taylor joins us this morning to show you what to do.
Yes, so we talked a little bit earlier about selecting the fabric, making sure you've got an upholstery grade home decor fabric. We talked about the padding, so now we're talking about how to turn this into something that's presentable to guests. So when you start, I use an electric staple gun because it's usually pretty quick.
Okay.
You can use your regular standard run-of-the-mill heavy-duty staple gun too.
Okay.
So basically what you want to do is you've got your batting cut, you've got your fabric cut to just enough so that you've got some room to pull on it.
All right.
And you just want to start in the center, either the front or the back is fine. And, sorry, it is a little noisy. It's a lot noisier, I think, in studio than probably you guys hear.
That's
so
okay.
you start in the center front, and then you want to pull it taut and make sure your pattern. Here I've got stripes, which are, of course, one of the most difficult things I could have picked to work with this morning, but you'll get the idea. So you've got it pulled tight, and then you just go back, and you do it again in the back. And the idea is you start in the center and the front and the back, and then you go to the center and the front and the sides, or I'm sorry, on both sides, and you're going to flip it over and make sure, as you can tell, our pattern's a little crooked, so it's good that we checked. So that gives you the opportunity to kind of even it out and get it where it needs to be. So once you've kind of gotten to that point, here I've kind of done a little mock-up here of the second seat we're working with. So the pattern is nice and centered. It's what we want, and we've gotten to the point where we've worked our way from the center on all the way around down to the corners. So when you get to your corners, you just kind of have it's like gift wrapping almost. So you're just going to lay that kind of flat.
Which I'm so good at.
And just make sure that it looks nice and even.
Okay.
And you want to make sure it's the same as what you've got on all the other sides, because sometimes, you fold it like this.
Right,
or you
so
fold
don't
it
fold it like that.
It kind of looks kind of wonky.
Okay.
And, we're trying to save money, but we still want it to look good. So then you just pull it tight and staple.
Is there a specific type of staple gun that you need, or are they generally all the same?
They're generally all the same. Heavy duty, if you're using the handheld, is best. Otherwise, you might get a craft staple gun, and for some people that might work, but here we're going into some pretty old plywood. These chairs were built in the 60s, so it's kind of hard and dried out over time, so the electric makes it a little bit easier to get into. If you're, depending on what you've got going on, the the non-electric might be just fine. But honestly, these cost about $20 at your hardware store, and the staples are the same price. And so now that you've got it all covered, you would ideally go in with your little scissors and trim all your excess, because you're going to have to pick the dullest scissors, so you get the idea. And that's going to allow you to put it back on for your screw holes, and then
you
once
just
you've got all your excess trimmed, I don't know anything of that showing, but you don't want it hanging out. And yeah, you just screw it back up and you're good to go.
And you painted this chair too. You can also paint these. So if you see some chairs, if you have a creative knack, you see some chairs at a garage sale or anything like that, that you think that you can turn into something like this, it's pretty easy. Again, I will put this on our YouTube page in case you missed it. And looks pretty easy. Thank you very much, Chris, for joining us this morning. Let's go to Tegan for a check of our forecast.